Good morning, guys. So, first off, welcome to my office. We have a heavy training day today, a super heavy training day. We have rack pulls, we have belt squat marches, we have sled pushes. I'm missing something. Cable crunches. We have kneeling cable crunches and GHRs. That's right. I'll just leave this up. So it's a pretty standard structure, and we can talk about structure a bit. But it's a heavy rack pull today, so somewhere north of 500 pounds. I actually ruptured one of my discs back in the day. I tried to walk out of the rack pull. Not smart, don't do that. Rack pulls themselves, if you do them correctly, they're perfectly safe. But I still have a little bit of mental inhibitions around it. So we're gonna get after it, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun one today. So let's go. It would have helped if I actually pressed record. But warming up, we have 405 on the bar. We're supposed to do it from below the knee, but the safeties won't go down any lower and I won't grow any taller. So we have a plate. Grip get out on that. Alright, so 565 didn't feel bad. I'll say anything north of 500 today would have been great. Didn't get the best sleep, and that's something that I try to take into account when it comes to how far I push the envelope, because I'm so going to go heavy. I typically still hit percentages and things like that, unless if I'm absolutely just bare bones sleep deprived. I did consider going up 6 plates, and I think that there was a good chance that I would have gotten it, but I think there was enough of a chance that my lack of recovery would have allowed me to not have everything fire the way it should, and that's how injuries happen. On a normal day, I probably would have done high hang cleans or high hang. Yeah, I would have done high hang power cleans before the rack pulls. But since the rack pulls were going to be extra heavy and extra CNS, and it was going to be a lot of pulling, I decided to do the rack pulls first. So we're going to do some high hang power cleans and then get on with our powerlifting program. All right, 275 actually took a little bit of effort, so I actually felt like I had to move my feet a little bit. We're gonna go for 305 and probably make smaller and smaller jumps after that, but we're just going to a challenging single. This does not have to be a 1 rep max. So 305, let's take it for a ride. I got distracted. All right, so 305 wasn't happening. That's okay, but we're not gonna end on a miss. So we're gonna back it down to 285. Do that for 2 times, 2 good times. I have a habit of only pinch gripping with my right hand. I need to get better with pinch gripping with my left. Yeah. All right, guys. So, done with the gym, and I have a few notes, but training session went well. I did not get to do the sled pushes, which was a little bit of a bummer. Started getting crowded at the gym, but pretty much the rest of the sessions went really well. My body doesn't feel as taxed as I thought it was going to be, and it was honestly a much easier and lighter session than I thought it was going to be. And that also usually happens whenever I end up putting a lot of mental stress on a particular session or movement. I was feeling a lot of apprehension around the rack pulls, but when I programmed for this, I try to be as objective as possible, and up to this point I've just kind of been just semi-unconsciously avoiding rack pulls, and it was just time to not avoid it anymore. So pushed outside of my comfort zone a little bit. I did kind of choose to not go for 6 plates and just went for 565. One, mainly because I did not get the best sleep, and usually when you don't get the best sleep, you're not fully recovered, then things are not firing as well as they should. And that's when typically injuries happen. So it's one of those things where you don't want to just avoid things if you don't get enough sleep. You still want to train, you still want to push yourself, but you have to make choices on whether or not today is the day that you push yourself into that orange zone of risk, because the risk reward really wasn't there. If today was competition day, if today was some other meaningful day, or if I knew that I was going to get that much more adaptation from lifting 585 as opposed to 565 on a rack pull, then I would have gone for it. But really the risk to reward wasn't quite there. So 565, super happy with that. So then we moved on to high hang power cleans. So I am still Olympic weightlifting. It's only picking one lift, and I'm picking one variation of that lift. I want to make sure that I keep my Olympic weightlifting, especially the movement patterns in my brain. I want to make sure that I keep that speed and that rhythm fresh. So I rotate through the movement, and I rotate through the different variations, and I rotate through the intensity and or intent. So for instance, so today was a high hang power clean. So I worked all the way up to 275, and then I decided to make the jump to 305, which honestly on a normal given day isn't a problem. But maybe it was the rack pulls, maybe it was just the fact that I haven't done high hang power in a long time, which I already struggle with powers anyway. So high hang power is just a little extra challenging, but all the excuses aside, I tried 305. Failed the first attempt. I thought I was just distracted, but honestly, I don't think I was just really mentally in it. So I decided to give myself a mulligan and gave it another go. Didn't have it, and it was clear at that time that, okay, it's not there. Maybe if I really pushed on it, that I would be able to squeak it out, but that wasn't the goal of today's session. So I decided to back it down because we weren't going to end on a miss. So I backed it down to 285, and we hit that for a couple just to make sure that we have that good movement pattern in there. So high hang powers ended on 285. We did it for 2 just to make sure that we have that movement pattern sealed in there. After that, we went into GHRs, so glute ham raise. These are wonderful for, honestly, a lot of people. A lot of people should do more GHRs. These are a little bit challenging to do strict, so you can put in a little bit of a swing where you kind of let your torso fall and then you kind of use momentum to swing yourself back up. I prefer to keep them as strict as possible. You can add bands to help you go up in a strict fashion, but GHRs are great for your hamstrings and also your whole posterior chains. So GHRs, we did 4 sets of 15, or no, I'm sorry, 4 sets of 10. And then I moved over to the belt squat machine, which really they have a pit shark, which there are different styles of belt squat. And before I get too bougie about it, it's not my favorite style of a belt squat, but if it's what you got, it's what you got. And I mean, it works. So I did 4 sets of 15 at 180 pounds. The nice thing about a belt squat, even on the pit shark version, is that you can go really low and you can kind of have a basis of support. So you have little handles, and then you can actually squat really deep even if you have poor ankle mobility. In that sense, it is similar to something like a hack squat or a pendulum squat. But the one thing that is nice about the belt squat is that it loads your hips without loading your back, which is honestly really, really nice. But I didn't end up filming a lot of it, mainly because I had another guy come by that really wanted to use a belt squat, so he ended up working in with me and we just got to talking. So I'm sorry, I will get more angles in the future. And then I moved over to kneeling cable crunches. Now, I see a lot of people do cable crunches where they face the weight stack. I did that, and it's honestly really, really hard to target your abs doing it that way. I see some people doing it standing, which I think is great. I personally prefer doing it kneeling with your feet against the weight stack and you're facing outwards. And so you can't move as much weight, but it ends up creating a larger range of motion. You can actually see how much ribs are coming up just a little bit. I'm opening up my hips and then I can crunch in from there. So I honestly felt an intense difference between doing it facing the weight stack or facing away from the weight stack. So we did 4 sets of 15, working from 70 pounds all the way to 85 pounds. All right, guys, what's up? We're back at home. It's the end of the day, and by the way, I'm eating the world's best carrot cake made by yours truly. I'm actually not a big carrot cake fan. I'm actually not a cake fan. I'm a pie fan, but that's another conversation for another day. But I made this cake for my wife's birthday and it is amazing, if I do say so myself. I cannot get enough of this. So I've determined to only eat this when my wife wants to eat it with me. But this is neither here nor there. Well, it's here and it's part of my glycogen. So I wanted to give you some context as far as my training, because I feel like even though you got a good idea of what today's training is, you really don't get to see why I'm picking the movements I am or why I'm training the way I am. And I wanted to give some context on the bigger picture of what it looks like, what my training looks like today. First off, I shifted my programming to be more conjugate, to be very conjugate, which, by the way, if you don't know what the conjugate system is, it's from Westside Barbell, from Louis Simmons, may rest in peace. They make world record holders, period. They make some of the strongest people on this planet. So if you ever want to see what a 1,200 pound squatter looks like, check out some of Westside's videos. I'm not a 1,200 pound squatter yet, but the conjugate system is an awesome system. We have maximal effort days, dynamic days, and we have repetition days. So today was a maximal effort day where we picked a variation of one of the lifts. Right below the knee is kind of where I start to lose my grit. That is a maximal effort, and then we go into supplemental lifts and or accessories. So we had the GHRs, we had the belt squats, really pumping more on a hypertrophic effort on the belt squat, and then we'd always have some form of core, whether that's cable crunches or honestly, I love holds. If you're a competitive CrossFitter, you can maybe sprinkle in some GHDs. I'm not a huge fan of GHDs if you're not wanting to be competitive in fitness. So we did a maximal effort day in terms of the conjugate system. In the future, we'll be doing dynamic effort days, which if you've ever seen people do things like speed squats or speed deadlifts, especially if you see them with a lot of bands, or if you're doing speed squats to a box or a safety bar, that's typically inspired by Westside Barbell and the conjugate system. It's highly potent for developing maximal strength. And you're only lifting 40 to 60% plus bands or chains or whatever it is. But even though it's light, I honestly feel like you end up putting more energy into the dynamic effort days. Maybe it's just me, but I feel that way. And then we have repetition effort days. Now this may not be purely conjugate when it comes to how I program them, but I typically put more hypertrophy type of work when it comes to rehab and prehab on my weakest lifts. So right now it's my bench, and I want to make sure that I can prehab anything involved with my bench before I need rehabs. So I want to make sure that everything's healthy and I can reinforce everything and make sure that nothing involving my bench is weak so that I don't break. And I shifted my training because I actually signed up for a powerlifting meet. It is my first USAPL powerlifting meet. It's in 24 days. So not that much more time. I signed up for it, first off, mainly for the experience. I do have some hopes and dreams out of it, but because of the short time frame, I'm not really going to put a lot of expectation. My one goal that I would love to be able to hit is squatting 585 while weighing in at 195, because that would be exactly three times body weight, and it is what I did squat in my non-sanctioned meet that I referenced in my last video. Would I love to hit PRs on all my lifts? Yes, that's great. The biggest thing that I'm looking for is just to have a wonderful time, great experience, and go 9 for 9, maybe meet some more people in the community. But it's kind of like a side quest along the road to Leadville, getting the 585 at 195 on an official board. So I'm lifting as a 90 kilo raw with wraps. Yeah, so that's kind of my structure for the next 24 days. We're going to be keeping that going until meet day, and you'll obviously get to see how I deload and taper and all that stuff. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Running.
Yes, I'm running. I'm running. Running right now, 2 to 3. Unfortunately, not because of today, not 4, but 2 to 3 days per week. And then I'm using an app called Runna. Another coach told me about it. It's actually a really well-rounded, well-programmed app. So as someone that's programmed a ton of conditioning, it's a well-rounded app that I feel like I can trust, and it's got very achievable and attainable paces and progressions. So I think that is really helpful. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a beginner or advanced, making sure that you can be sustainable with your efforts and making sure that you're still on plan to improve. No links or sponsorships or anything like that. I just think it's a cool app. So check it out if you're wanting to get better with running.
I actually think you might be able to get a referral.
You think there is a referral link?
I feel like there was a place to refer a friend and get a free t-shirt or something.
A free t-shirt.
Get an unincorporated t-shirt.
You hear that, guys? I might get a free t-shirt if you sign up for Runna through my link. Does it actually give them any benefits? Oh, okay. So you get 2 weeks free. So I was wrong. I do have a link. If you sign up for it using the link, you'll get 2 weeks free. So I'll put the referral link in the description, I guess, and I get a gift card to a t-shirt. So if you want to get better with running, I think it's a great app regardless. Use my link or don't use my link. But I think it's a great tool to actually help you if you're trying to get better with running. Oh, and I wanted to get your feedback because after my last video, which, by the way, thank you for all those that responded, all those that liked and shared and subscribed. I got some people DMing me on Instagram, talking to me about it. One of my buddies, shout out Scott, he told me about a race where you have the same route, but it's a half, a full marathon, and then a 50 miler, so that I could actually progress through it on a familiar track. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be keeping on my radar, so thank you. And so, like I said, if you have tips or tricks and suggestions for myself and my journey, or if you have questions about your journey, go ahead and feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. But I figured that to give y'all kind of a more up-to-date view of what I'm doing, that I would actually post my workouts on my Instagram story so that you can kind of follow along. I'm not necessarily suggesting you copy what I do, but at least it will give you an idea from day to day inspiration on what would actually help you in trying to apply some of these formats. So let me know if that is something that you would like. I'm going to start posting that on my stories as soon as this goes live. So find me on Instagram, and then I'll put up a poll and see if people like it. And if you do, then great. If you don't care, then let me know, and we'll figure something else out. But I want to make sure that I'm giving something that is valuable to y'all. I should put the recipe for the cake. I'll put a link to the recipe of the carrot cake. So if you like baking, if you have trouble, there you go. If you have trouble filling your carbs and fats, make this cake. It will solve all of those problems. I promise it will solve your problems when it comes to not being able to get enough food. Let's put it that way. All right, guys, I hope you liked the look into today's training day. If you did like this, or if you like carrot cake, go ahead and drop a like. If you didn't like this, or you're not liking carrot cake, drop a like anyway, because you made it this far, you might as well. Subscribe if you want to keep following along. And if you're new here, I'm on my way to squatting 600 pounds and running the Leadville Ultra Marathon, all within the same day, weekend kind of thing. Go ahead and check out my last video if you haven't already, and click subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date to all that. Like I said, my workouts are gonna start showing up in my Instagram stories, so find me there. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, guys, bye.